recognize Representative Fulcher for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome.
Chairman Lowenthal and the Ranking Member Stauber for allowing me to participate in this hearing. Before my questions, please accept these words in testimony of H.R. 5350, the Enhancing Geothermal Production on Federal Lands Act, that I'm introducing with Idaho Senator Jim Risch on the Senate side. And by the way, it's not a coincidence that we are from Idaho, as Boise, the capital city, has the oldest and largest geothermal heating system in the United States. And that system was initiated back in 1890. So we've got a long history there. Our Idaho state capital is the only capital in the nation that's fully heated with geothermal system. But we are at a crossroads on the roadmap to the future of American energy. The majority party has a high level of opposition to every major energy source in America. Opposition to the harvesting of fossil fuels and the burning of coal. Opposition to harvesting the critical minerals necessary for batteries, windmills, and solar panels. Opposition to dams, which of course limits hydroelectric sources, and the opposition to nuclear power. If we were to accept all of those policy positions, that would mean one of two things would have to happen. Either we purchase expensive energy harvested irresponsibly from people that generally don't like us, or we go without electricity. Understandably, Americans are concerned about the energy challenges of the future, but there is one energy source that, at least so far, has not come under heavy criticism, and that's geothermal. Geothermal energy production on federal lands has some real potential to help us meet our future energy needs, and H.R. 5350 would help streamline the permitting process for potential geothermal projects. I appreciate the BLM in providing feedback, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to make this into law. I do have a couple of questions for Ms. Jewett. Ms. Jewett, you spoke about how geothermal energy, the industry for geothermal is ready to scale, but we all know that investment requires certainty. And I wanted to just ask you how you think a streamlined exploration process under NEPA just might help provide some of that certainty for investment.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question, and thank you also for being such an advocate for our industry. Not only is there incredible heating potential in Idaho's geothermal resources, but there's also incredible electricity generation potential underneath Idaho. I think to answer your question, I think it's really important to sort of dive into what is the process for a geothermal development project. Typically, you can think of it in 3 phases. First, exploration, which includes trying to find and confirm a temperature resource. Second is development of the propensity of the wells that will provide energy to a project. And third is construction, which includes construction of pipelines for steam or hot water, construction of power facilities, and construction of interconnection tie lines to the grid. Each one of these processes today undergoes the heavy burden of a full-blown NEPA process. An exploration process is not guaranteed to yield a productive development. So the legislation that you have proposed here proposes to reduce the burden of NEPA on that exploration process. When an operator does have some flexibility to be able to explore using low impact activities, they become more capable of trying out different places and confirming where a resource exists in order to pave the way for a larger project and a full-blown NEPA process in the future.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to go to a quote here in the minute that we have remaining. And it's a quote from Section 390 of the Environmental Policy Act 2005. That certain categorical exclusions were approved for the oil and gas industry that were credited with fostering an extremely positive feedback loop between exploration, development, and deployment of unconventional shale resources. So that's obviously the oil and gas industry that was referring to. But if given the same opportunity, what kind of industry growth, if any, could you see this legislation potentially help generate?
I think Section 390 of the Environmental Policy Act of 2005 are very consistently credited with fostering really widespread unconventional oil and gas development in the United States. And if you look at the graphs of development, there was certainly an inflection point after the passage of those categorical exclusions. Similar categorical exclusions can go an incredibly long way in fostering geothermal development on federal lands in the United States, helping this industry scale and creating massive jobs across the country.
Ms. Jewett, thank you so very much for your testimony. I yield back.
Thank you very much. Before we conclude this panel, are there any members who have not had their 5 minutes